Hello everyone. So this is the series 2 of Hello JavaScript. So today's topic that we're going to learn is about hoisting. So in the previous class, like we have discussed about how the JavaScript works internally and what is call stack and memory heap and how it is works when something is evoked or some memory allocation, how it has happened and everything we have discussed now. So today we're going to discuss about hoisting process in JavaScript. So why we need to discuss hoisting? Because the hoistings that is something related to the memory allocation. So that is the reason we are going to discuss about the hoisting process. So it will give a clear understanding why we are not using var also. So the variable keyword that we have var keyword and we are not using that, right? So they give some couple of example. Var has does not have a block level scope and var has some very weird concept. That weird concept is hoisting. Let's see that what is hoisting and then we can further move on and we will have a look into that and we will do that. So simply what is meant by hoisting is nothing but allocating or we can say moving the function and variable to the top of file. So it is a overlooked behavior that has been taken by the JavaScript and most of the developers and most of the communities they think that this is pretty they are not consider this as a feature. So they will tell like this is not needed, it will make the code much more complex, so they will avoid that. Okay, so let's see what is that and we can move on to it. So for that I'm using the JS bin. So JS bin is like an online code editor, a compiler that I can whatever the code I can return I can able to see it in my the console and we can able to work on that. So that is the reason. Let's see. I just going to work in the JavaScript file and I just for console I have the console whatever the code that I'm returning it will be displayed here. For example, I say console.log and if I simply say hello JS like this and if I run it we can get this hello JS. Okay, so simply okay. So to understanding this, first what we need to do, we need to know where the hoisting is takes place, right? So and what it is, right? Simply we say that moving the function variable to the top of the file. Now consider this is going to be our JavaScript file. Okay, so simply this hoisting will work in two places. One is whenever a variable is declared with var keyword, and also whenever a function is declared with the declaration function. Okay, so declaration function it will be work. This hoisting will be work. Okay, so only these two places when a variable is declared with var keyword and a function that is declared with the what declaration function. This is two places this hoisting will be takes place. I will give an example and we will move on to it. For example, I just going to say var a equal to 10. This is a variable I created and right now the computer understand and it is what it is going to do. It is going to in the global execution like we have memory allocation. It will build a container for us and in that place a will be added and we will have the value 10. Okay, and this is a variable with a and we going to create a function. So we know we can be able to create a function with two things. One is expression type and another one is declaration type. So what is declaration type? Simply calling a function and giving a name to the function and calling it. So this is declaration type. And what is expression type? Creating a variable like const b equal to and inside this variable we are creating a function like this. So this is expression type. So only hoisting work in the declaration type. Okay, so first I just go for the declaration type. Okay, I'll make a function. It's not function. Okay, so here I just going to say console.log hey. Okay, like this. Okay, so and we know that if a code how the memory allocation is happened. So now first JavaScript read this line. Okay, I need to create a memory, right? So what it is going to do in the memory heap, a variable is created and we have the 10 inside it, right? So it is create a memory for us and it will create it. And what happens, it will go for the function and it will create a memory for the name. Okay, and this name stored this value here. So it will store here. Okay, so like that it will store. So it will store it and once I call the function, if I say name, I call the function and if I clear and run it, you can able to get the value because right now it is in the memory. So what happens if I call the name in the call stack, call the name in the call stack. So the name variable, it's get added on top of the global execution context. So it will be executed and it will be added. Okay. Now what happened if I add this name here, name like this. So what happened if I execute the function before it is declared? So now let's see what is how the JavaScript will understand it. First, I need to create a variable for a. So in memory heap, we have the memory, and we have the call stack, right? We have the call stack, right? We have two things. So in the memory heap, first it is going to allocate a memory in the name of a equal to 10. So we have the memory, right? So in next it will read this line and okay, so I need to call the name function. Okay, and it is going to call, it is going to on top of it, it is going to call the name function. So once I called it, okay, once I called it, what happened, it need to execute the code, right? But right now in the memory we don't have this name function. You can able to see it here, right? So right now in the memory we don't have this name function. So we are calling the function before the function is declared, which means before the memory allocation we are calling it. Then the memory will not, it doesn't know that, right, it is created or not, right? So but if I run this function, you can able to see it is executed, it is telling me hey, right? So what happened, even though it is not in the memory, even though not in the memory, it is able to call this function, right? So this is something because of hoisting. Okay, so we will see how it is working. Okay, so before that we need to create another statement that variables are partially hoisted, partially hoisted. Okay, variables are partially hoisted, functions are fully hoisted, fully hoisted. So this is the statement that you need to understand. Okay, variables are partially hoisted and functions are fully hoisted. Okay, let me see that this right now we have this thing. Let me see if I create, and we will we will check every rules. I only say with var and function declaration only this hoisting will work, right? So let me check if what if I just do const name equal to and I create an expression type like this. What happened if I call a function that is in an expression type? What happened right now if I run it, you can see it is throw me an error, cannot access name before initiation. This is what we are speaking about, cannot access a name before initiation. So before initiating something we cannot access a function or we cannot access a variable, right? So what if I create let a is equal to here and on top of it I just call a variable. Okay, and top of it I just call the a variable console.log a like this. Okay, if I call it, you can see first error, it is throwing in reference error, cannot access a before initiation. Okay, so we cannot access that. And let's check this condition, when I make var, what happened if I make the keyword with var, what is going to happen? Clear, and I run it, you can see it is throwing me undefined. You cannot focus on this one. Okay, so this is because of this name variable, but you can able to see in a word we have undefined. Instead of throwing error, why it is throwing undefined? Because here, variables are partially hoisted. That is why it is throwing an error. So it is two different things. Undefined or not defined is two different things. Okay, we will discuss that. Undefined is a data type in JavaScript, but not defined is not like that, right? So not defined is throwing an error, right? Same like that. Same like that. If I change this name to a declaration type, now what happened? It is work perfectly. We can get undefined and we can get hey, what has happened here? What is the thing that's happened here? Well, variables are partially hoisted and functions are fully hoisted. This is what happened here. Let me discuss what is happening when we are declaring a variable with var keyword and when we are declaring a function with the function keyword, that means the declaration function, the hoisting takes place. So the memory allocation is not do something like this. Okay, so the memory allocation is not do something like this. And we know that each and every call stack, we know that we have we have the global execution context, right? In the global execution context, we know what all are the properties that are inside this. There is two phases there, right? So here we have two phases. Okay, so what all are the two phases that we have in the global execution context means we have the creation phase and we have the code to run phase, right? We have two phase. So this code to run, execute the code what we need to run, and creation phase, we see that what all are inside the creation phase. We know the name of the function, it is inside. What is the name of the function? And it has that. And what the next thing it has, I just cut it here and I just paste it here. So in the name of the function name, what is the name of the function? It will be here. And also we have discussed in the last class, hoisting is also here, right? Each and every function, each and every execution context has a hoisting here also. So it has the hoisting here also. So this is by using this only, this hoisting will be takes place. Like I will explain that what is first of all hoisting, and then we will move on to it. So hoisting is nothing but moving the functions and variable to the top of the file. Yes, it will be work in the var keyword and the function keyword, which means if you declare a variable with var, what it will do means before the interpreter reading it, the hoisting takes place. Simply, it will go and scan it just go and look into the file. So I have a var keyword. So I just want to allocate the memory for A. So on top of the file, it will allocated it. Even though you created in the end of the file, on top of the file, the memory allocation will happen. So like this only. Like how it is created in the memory means, okay, so we have A, but I say variables are partially hoisted, which means only it allocates memory, but it does not allocate the value inside it. Okay, so just go, okay, so a variable is there and it is created by using a variable, right? So a identifier. So I need to create a memory for A. I don't want to give anything, so by default it is undefined. Okay, it creates an undefined inside it. Okay, and also it will go for function. Okay, we have the function. So functions are fully hoisted. So fully hoisted means it will store everything in the function. Okay, so like that it will be stored. Now if I call before the initiation, before this code is get executed, so once the interpreter reads the language, now what happened, it will read var A is equal to 10. Okay, so I already have A and that is undefined, so now I need to change it to 10. And also already the memory is allocated for the function and the whole thing is here, so the memory allocation is happened. Like that it will be like that only this function will be happen, like that only this hoisting will be takes place. Okay, so that is the reason right now before the interpreter reading the line of code, now it is allocated. Whenever we are writing code, the memory is allocated before the interpreter running the code. If I call the console dot log A, and if I call the variable, and if I call for the name here, now what happened, before the interpreter reading this code, we have this memory allocation because it moved everything to the top of the file, and we have the undefined for A and we have the entire function. So because why we have undefined, because variables are partially hoisted. So if I declare a variable A, then it does not store any value. So it stores an undefined inside it. Okay, so it will store it. So if I call console.log A, what is happening here? It will give me undefined because right now the memory is A and we have the function and the function is executed, right? So once that is done, what happened? It will go for the next line. Once the execution context is done, it will go for the next line. Okay, it will go for the next line, var A is equal to 10, and now the variable is changed to 10. Undefined is replaced with a 10. And if here I just log for console.log A, now what happened, the reassigning a variable is happened. So if I clear and run it, you can able to see undefined initially and A is there, and right now it is 10. Okay, it is changed to 10 and the function is created. Okay, so this is all about hoisting. So simply three things you need to remember. What is hoisting? Moving the variable and function to the top of the file, number one. Number two, like what are the things that it will takes place, the variable that declared with var keyword hoisted, and a variable that sorry, the function that with the declaration that is hoisted, these two things will be takes place. Okay, so other than that, if you have a variable let const, it will throw an error, and expression type of function throw an error. Okay, so it will do like that one. Okay, so third thing, variables are partially hoisted, functions are fully hoisted. So that is the only thing that you need to remember. Okay, so partially hoisted means variables stores, it will allocate the memory only, it will not store the value, but function everything is hoisted, it will show the value also. Okay, it will store it. Okay, So because of this, if I create a var a equal to 10, okay, and I creating var a equal to 15, and I create a var a equal to 13. Okay, so because of this, whenever you can able to see, if I do the same work in let, it will going to throw me an error because a is already declared. But here I'm creating by using declaring multiple variables with a. What has happened because of hoisting? It will not throw error. If I console log dot a, it will throw me 13 as the end result, right? It will throw me in 13. Why? Because just understand how hoisting is takes place. Hoisting, look into it. Okay, so a is there. Okay, I need to store a memory. A equal to undefined, like this. It will store a memory and it will go for a. Okay, already is there, so I have stored undefined. Already is there, I stored undefined. And now what happened? A is 10, it is replaced with the 10, and it is replaced with 15, and it is replaced with 13. Because of hoisting, it does not care about how many times we are declaring the variable. This is not great, right? So but in let, we can avoid hoisting. That is what we can do. Okay, so this is the problem. And next one is, hoisting takes place in each and every execution context. That is, you need to remember, hoisting takes place in each and every execution context. For example, I have a function. Okay, so that function is going to call, I can say, get candy. This is going to be the function. This is going to be the function, and in get candy, okay, so this is going to be the function. Here I just going to call something like console.log get. I calling this, and here I have a variable var get equal to, and here I just going to say milk, or we can say something like this, milk, like this. And inside this function, I just going to say this is going to be get food. Okay, so inside this function, I just going to say console.log food, and here I just going to say var food equal to, we can say biryani, like this. And here I just going to say console.log food. Okay, so let us understand what we going to get. So if I run this function, what I going to get, and if I run this function, what I going to get. So here I make a statement. This is going to be the return statement. Okay, so let's see what is happening here. when i call the get candy. Okay, so remember the fourth one. What is the fourth one? Every execution context has a hoisting phase in it. Okay, so every function has a hoisting, so it will do it, right? So let me see. If I try to access get candy, and if I run this code, and we will get undefined, we will getting this undefined. Just a minute. Yeah, we are getting undefined. The reason, because we know right now, just understand the call stack. What we have, global execution context, and here we have the get candy, right? We have get candy, and the get candy has a creation phase, and the creation phase has a hoisting. So now it does not throw me an error, right? If I do the let like this, now if I do and create it, it is going to throw me an error, because I say each and every execution context has a hoisting phase. So in each and every function, you're declaring a variable that is also moved to top of the function. Not only you're declaring it in the global also. If you declare it global, that is takes place in global execution context, right? So declaring a variable globally, declaring a function globally, the hoisting will takes place in the global execution context. Same like that in candy, we have like in the normal function, this is also. So right now what happened, the memory, it create a variable partially hoisted get undefined is there, undefined the top of the file is there, right? So this is we have. That is why if I say console.log get, this is give me undefined, right? So in memory, what is happening, it is happening. So let us look into this function. If I want to run this function, so it is, if I say return, what it is going to return, it is going to return me this function. So if I want to execute this function, then I need to call evoke this function. Now what happened, this is a separate function, this is a separate declaration function, right? So inside this we have this hoisting. Each and every function, each and every execution context has a hoisting. So inside this we have the hoisting. So now what happened, this foot, this is going to give me undefined, and once it is done, because this is also a hoisting process, once the way food is go on top of it and it will stores the value to it, right? In top of it, it allocate a memory, inside the function it will is going to allocate a memory for us, and we have undefined inside this, and in the console.log we access it, we get the undefined and we get this food. What is the food out, you can see undefined, this is because of this one, and undefined, this is because of this console, and we are getting this biryani, right? So hoisting, four things you need to remember: moving function variable function variables and function to the top of the file, and var keyword with function it will be accessible, and var variables or partially hoisted functions are fully hoisted. Each and every execution context, each and every execution context has a hoisting in it. So every time we creating a function, inside the function the hoisting is takes place, like it will allocate partial allocation for the memory, and also it will allocate full allocation for the get foot also. For example, you can access this get foot before initiation also, you can able to access this get foot before the initiation. For example, I just going to say we have the function here. Okay, we having this function here before we can get the get foot. Okay, so inside this only it is what happened, inside after that only it is allocated, but if I call something like this, we can able to access this one. Okay, oh, we made a mistake, get food, like this, clear, run it, you can see it will be work perfectly. Reason, because the hoisting allegation is takes place, so no matter what the function is declared below or top, the hoisting we can able to access, it is a declaration function, so we can able to access before the initiation also. So the memory allocation, it will know that. So this is all about hoisting, and we know that what something, how the function is, how the function knows the memories and all, right? So that is called as variable environment. So we have variable environment, each and every variable environment, whatever that we are declaring inside the function, a function variable, everything that goes inside the variable environment, and inside that variable environment only we are accessing this all the three things. And once the function is executed, once the function is completed, that variable environment get destroyed along with the function. Okay, so the next topic is going to be what is variable environment, and we're going to give a full focus on variable environment, and we're going to see a little internal workings of JavaScript much more deeper. See you in the next series of JavaScript. That topic is going to be variable environment. I will see you there. Until bye.